All right, cool. Let's get straight into it. I guess I'll do an introduction. Welcome, everyone, to today's podcast. New podcast is called The Smoke Room. We have here myself, Bobby, and Ash, and we're going to be talking about all things investments, all things crypto, all things uh, daily perspective of people who have never tried doing any of this stuff before, the absolute amateurs in the space. So just kind of having a discussion around those topics and seeing what I guess we can figure out as far as ourselves and see if we can make some wins. That's basically the whole point of it, isn't it? Is to try and win a little bit. I'll introduce everyone here. One starting with Bobby himself. Bobby, give us a quick rundown of, I guess, what you do in the day job, any investments and or strategies that you're currently running, and ultimately the end goal of what it is that you want to achieve.
Okay, well, hey, I'm Bobby. I work in IT. I do like desktop support, bit of sysadmin, some security, and really, I'm just all into Bitcoin. Just 100% doing multiple different things to get more sats and just optimize that.
Yeah, nice. Do you get paid in Bitcoin or do you get paid in normal, Monopoly money, and then that gets transferred into into Bitcoin? How does that work?
Coins,
Yeah.
As they say, I get paid in fiat fund bucks.
Yeah.
But then I can transfer that into an exchange or just automatically get that converted into Bitcoin.
Okay. Sounds like fun. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. So I guess what's your then end goal? Because that's kind of what you do and how you plan to transfer wealth across into other assets or asset classes even. What's the end goal? Is it to be a full Bitcoin maxi and to just completely turn orange with Bitcoin, or what's the goal, to ascend?
Yeah, I guess to ascend. I don't really have a specific end goal in mind, but just accumulate as many sats as I can while I can. And then as the price increases, just go from there.
What's a sat? Just out of curiosity, I don't know. So this is like new for me.
So a sat, it's also called a satoshi. Basically, there's 100 million satoshis to one Bitcoin. So if you buy like $100, you'll see it's around like 98,000 satoshis.
Okay.
So once you get 100 million, that's a full Bitcoin.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So
that's why whenever you see that's why whenever you see the price, it's always to 8 decimal points because that's 100 million.
Huh.
It's like cents, but the cents are much, much smaller, right?
Yeah.
So with a cents, it's like what hundredth of a dollar is a cent, but with a Satoshi, it's what millionths, is it? It's
100 millionth of a Bitcoin, yeah.
Because there's other ones as well. So you got sats, but there's something else in there, isn't there? I think there's another, a few other unit types, isn't there?
No, I don't think so. Just
or maybe I'm thinking of Ethereum, but we'll come to that.
Yeah.
We don't talk about Ethereum, do we?
No, I left that. Yeah. I left that part of my past behind.
I might talk a little bit about Ethereum when we get to it, but because I'm not like full Bitcoin maxi. I do love Bitcoin, but bit of everything. But I'll get to myself later. So that's the end goal, to get a full Satoshi or Sat, which is essentially one Bitcoin.
Yeah, so 100 million Satoshis, which is going to take a while, especially when that's over 100,000 now. Like it's 110.
Yeah, right. And that number only ever increases as...
Well, no, it can also decrease, which is scary when your entire life savings is in it, but great when you're just trying to accumulate as much as possible.
There. Okay. It sounds terrifying. I'm going to get into that later. Yeah.
Very high risk, but...
Yeah. Ash, tell me a little bit about yourself. Day job, investments, any strategies that you're looking at, end goal.
Yeah, right. G'day, guys. Ashley here. So my day job, cybersecurity, and IT managed services, that kind of stuff. So run my own company. Been doing that for about 20 odd years. Mix of, consulting and different government things, and yeah, just managed to fall into running my own company over the last year, which has been mainly very stressful, but also really fun at the same time. Love the autonomy of running my own company, not reporting to anyone except for my clients, which is super fun. I thoroughly enjoy it and recommend it to anyone who hates their day job. But it doesn't come with without a few hurdles, that's for sure.
Absolutely.
Um, I guess in terms of investments and strategy, look, I'm kind of dipping my feet back in again. So I've always played around with things, all sorts of things. I'm one of those people who dabble in a bit of everything, like a bit of the old, sports bet, investment, if you will. I've done a bit of, arbitrage. I've done a bit of, FX trading, contract for difference, all that kind of dodgy and um, big losses kind of stuff. I've done a lot of Bitcoin, a lot of altcoins trading. I used to love doing automated trading, through Binance and stuff with the little bot that I had running. And yeah, a lot of Australian share market stuff. I've never really invested in the American stock market at all, but Australian shares. I used to love getting on the old penny stocks, and I think I mentioned sports bet before. I think I've come to a point now where I'm no longer interested in the old penny stocks. Love a good little bet on a roughie, but I don't think that's in my strategy as much anymore. Maybe spend a couple $100 here and there on something, but that's kind of it. So look, in terms of investments, a couple of years ago, we had quite a lot invested in index funds. We'd switched away from buying some good quality Australian stocks. Your standard what do you call them, blue chip stocks. So your Qantas's and Telstra's, that kind of stuff. So we'd had a bit of that, and then we would decide to cut all that out and go straight to index funds. There's a few Australian investment tools you can use. A bit of a shout out to NAB here. They've got a wonderful product called Equity Builder. Use that, built up our index funds, and then we actually sold the whole lot, liquidated everything to buy our first home. So we're at a point now where we're nearing completion of that build and looking to jump back in, and good timing. Just Bitcoin is going nuts at the moment, so is it a good time to re-enter there? There's the stock market has gone insane, so again, is it a good time to enter or not? So yeah, this hoping to pick that apart. I guess the end goal though, owning that home, owning that home, and having that freedom to keep working for myself, and just doing what I want in terms that I want. I think it's pretty similar to a few of the people in this space, isn't it?
I think so. Yeah, I think a lot of people are sort of looking to just have that financial freedom of do whatever it is that you like to do, and basically not have to worry about the financials on the back end of basically just cruise through and get it done. Not so much like get rich quick schemes or anything like that, literally just winning a little bit.
And I think, yeah, absolutely. And there's a few awesome, things going around. Probably the last 10 years, where I've consumed so many self-help books. It's not funny. So you got, J.L. Collins and a few other people. But there's a bloke called Dan Locke. He created a book called FU Money, and me and my wife read that, and it was an awesome book, right? Just the concept of FU money, and really what it comes down to is having the ability to make decisions in your life. Like if you want to quit your job, just quit. Like it's not a problem. Like you don't need to worry about your paycheck still, because you know that you've got that stability in your life that you don't have to worry about a job. I'm not there yet, but that's where
Interesting
we're heading
topic.
for.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
want to get to, right?
yeah. I find with the whole FU money thing, there's actually like different stages. So there's there's the FU money of you can quit and go somewhere else and basically just rent out anything that you can't sell. Then there's FU money where you stay where you are and keep paying for those things through the FU money and keep doing life that way. This is a good segue into, I guess, my own day job and things, but I really do find there's different stages there because I quite literally did that around 3 years ago. I quit my main job, went overseas, and I did it the first way because I couldn't afford to do it the second way. I couldn't quit my job and stay in Australia because I would have gone broke in about 2 weeks. So I did it the cheap, what's that? The website Temu FU money, yeah.
Temu retirement.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, Temu retirement, but yeah, I did basically retire for like about 6 to 9 months. I just did nothing because I was just so done with everything, and it was great. I had a fantastic time, and
it's an awesome level of freedom.
I got bored though. Yeah,
I got really come back into that because I think that's a really interesting discussion about, have we ever tried that? I'm not going to call it retirement, but how long we've lasted on a little skerrick of money, But yeah, mate, get into your intro. I want to hear this.
Knee-jerk reaction to just quitting at everything in life and leaving the country is where I'm at. But yeah, hi everyone. Name's Dave. A lot of people call me DC. It's a name that's stuck since I was in primary school, mainly because in the very small city that I'm from, there was another David Lee. And so I chose DC. That's basically how that happened. For myself, I work in IT. I've got a couple of day jobs. One is the business that I run. It's a cybersecurity consulting company. That's the one that I started off that knee-jerk reaction of quitting everything and then finding out after about 9 months that I should probably do something with my life. So there's a consultancy on that. I have on the same business an education platform for people looking to get into cybersecurity or even start their own knee-jerk reactions in freelance consulting. And the main job of IT services and helping to manage a help desk, which is fun and comes with its own set of challenges, which is something I talk about fairly often with people close enough to me who want to maybe hear about the fun and joys of that whole experience. As far as my investment strategy, I've been a property investor I would consider myself an investor for maybe 5 to 10 years. I got into property. My first one I bought when I was 20 years old. I've always had lots of businesses. So my first business was, of course, in IT. I had a computer shop up in Brisbane, in Red Hill. Yeah, I had a computer shop. I did IT repairs, lots of break fix stuff. It was good. It was a good little shop. It did well. I sold that as well as the clients that I had. So I eventually started building out a subscription service for IT services, which at the time was like a pretty new concept. This is a long time ago because I'm now almost 40, and this was when I was 19. Started that. So I sold that business and used the money to put a deposit down on my first house, and struggled for many years to pay that off and get ahead, basically, because I wasn't making much money and I was still a kid going out partying and having fun. So that was interesting. So I wouldn't consider myself an investor from that point. I did all sorts of things to get ahead. I tried Airbnb rooms in that house. I did the whole slumlord thing where I literally just rented out rooms. And in the area that this is in, that was super common at the time, as people would just rent out the rooms of that place. I had all sorts of stuff happening in that house. It was a massive disaster. I learned a lot of lessons about property management, as well as how not to spend money at the wrong times. And these lessons gave me that confidence further down the line more recently to just go, fuck it. I don't need to to do any of these stressful life things. I can just leave and go to another country where things cost substantially less and live my days out. But that didn't really work out for me in the end. I got busy, busier than ever actually at that point. My other investments are mostly around stocks. So I do a fair bit of stock investing through management platforms. I used to use one called Acorn, I think it was called. I don't use that anymore.
Oh yeah, that's actually how I got started too.
Yeah, I think it's called Raise now. I'm not sure. But that
it
one
makes it really simple.
Yeah, you basically just put money into it and it does stuff with the money, and hopefully the number goes up, which is good. These days I use one primarily called Spaceship, just for buying different stocks and different ETFs and other things through that platform. You can do like investment portfolios where they tell you what's in that portfolio broadly and what they're going to buy and sell.
And that was created by the guys from Atlassian, wasn't it? Spaceship.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Oh,
it's a cool product. I've seen pretty good returns on that. Again, that's super long term. The property that I'm buying is all long term, but also the thing I like about property is that you can get an immediate sort of cash flow out of it if you get a favorable sort of setup going. So, for example, buying an undermarket property, which in Australia is pretty difficult but not impossible. You can build up equity. You can do lots of things with property, which is cool. I like that it's a fairly versatile investment piece. The downside is that the buy-in is obviously difficult because it's a high price item. It's something you have to have a bit of cash to drop on first, which is I'm glad I got into it at the time, and I'm continuing to get into that. Last one but not least, crypto. More recently, specifically Bitcoin. Made a fair chunk of money out of XRP. Bought it, I don't know, maybe 5-6 years ago for about 30 cents each. I bought a few thousand of them, and that's gone pretty well. It didn't cost much at the time, kind of like people who were getting into Bitcoin at the time, early days, who bought it for nothing basically, and just sat on it. So my investment strategy is lazy investing, basically. Long story short, I'm super lazy. All I do is I buy stuff and I leave it, forget about it, set and forget, and come back in a few years and go, oh, cool, that kind of worked out, or it didn't. Kind of like Ethereum, where I bought it maybe 3 years ago and it's pretty much just stable the entire time. So, yeah, it is what it is.
There's a really interesting topic there around types of investments and quality of investments and stability and things, right? And obviously return on your investments. So I'd love to. I think we need to discuss that at some point, right? Is some of these things you're obviously going to make a lot of money on if it goes well, and others it's going to be stable and I think we're going to talk about stable coins. We're going to talk about gold. We're going to talk about fiat and all that kind of stuff at some point. So.
Yeah.
Important.
Yeah, I do love a bit of gold as well. That's a more recent one I bought. I bought a bullion necklace. I don't have it with me. It's back in my other home, but it's I bought that for my own birthday but I also bought it as like a side investment backup. So with traveling a lot, you can't bring much cash around with you, but you can bring as much jewelry as you like with you. So if you have gold on you, then chances are you can get out of things in a pinch. And having a full bullion around your neck, even if it's hidden behind a shirt or whatever, is a major backup, especially with the price of gold at the moment. So that's, and I guess just to wrap things up on my investment strategy and my things there is the end goal is just to have some level of financial stability to be able to get to that second stage of FU money, where I don't need to leave any country to do whatever it is that I want. I can just say, bugger it. This is what I'm doing. This is why I want to do it, and have that stability. The other thing is also about stability, where I don't want to be too concerned about I guess, my own finances and investment strategies. I have enough chaos in my life in work to not need to or want to worry about the chaos of investment, which is why I'm a lazy investor. I just throw money at things that I can spend, that I'm happy to spend, leave them to do their thing, and just let them do their thing. If they go up or down, none of my business. I'm not. I don't have the mental capacity to be concerned about those things. I've got too much else to be concerned about. So that's me and my goals. Did we want to dive into any of the I guess the topics that we've sort of brushed on briefly here?
Yeah, real quick one there. I think, both you and I and Bobby, maybe you jump in as well. But I think the three of us were all kind of creating additional ways in our life to create passive income as well, right? Or generate additional income, whether it's passive or not. So, both you and I, Dave, we've certainly, we create little side hustles, if you will, whether it's businesses, whether it's websites or communities, things like that. So I think it's very much in our nature to create those things, look for a way to monetize it, and that kind of stuff. So I really want to understand more about some how we can build some of those things and not waste our time. I think there's a lot of things I've built, lots of little things that are just an absolute waste of time. But I've learned a lot on the way as well. So there's lots of lessons to come out of that.
Oh yeah.
You know, just building something, the actual simple act of building something, you learn a lot, and that in itself is an investment. But obviously, there's the money side of it as well.
I think the building side is one thing. I think it's relatively easy, especially with AI these days, to build a thing. What's tricky is to pivot and to change as you need to as business moves on. So I think that's sort of the ability to have a business that continues to make money or profit, or even just kick along, is to change with the times. Because I've like you, Ash, I've run up plenty of businesses. Most of them you know about, some of them you don't. And I've had some
I have
wicked.
stickers for all of them.
Yeah, yeah. Well, almost. You don't have a sticker for one. I had a vape shop once.
Oh,
And
really?
Oh, this is new.
yeah,
Here we
yeah,
go.
yeah. So
Yeah,
way,
it's
way
news
back.
to me.
Yeah, back when I had the van, I had a sticker on the back that said BrisbaneVape.com. I had the name and everything, and it was an online store, that because you weren't allowed at the time to have a brick and mortar shop to sell vapes. So I was buying vapes, vape liquid from a guy locally, and then I'd buy the nicotine liquid from New Zealand because you weren't allowed to buy it in Australia, and then mixing it up in Australia, and then buying the equipment from China. And I had this full on business going.
Now, you're not going to
But
incriminate yourself here. Like, I don't want the AFP knocking on our doors.
no, no, no. It was
Yeah.
it was perfectly legal. It was all unregulated at the time. It was when it got regulated that I closed the business because I couldn't pivot and change. That's the sort of full circle of the
damn.
business here. But yeah, it was. I mean, it was good fun. I didn't do anything illegal. I'm not like one of those people who was selling, dodgy cigarettes and vapes out of a convenience shop like they do over here. But yeah, no, I had a full vape shop at one point. Yeah, recharged scooters for a while, which we both did, which was fun. Uh, Even I wouldn't really consider it a business, but Uber Eats delivery, got to make money. Um, yeah, all sorts of random little things. I had a web design business once, the IT shop, all sorts, and a lot of them failed. All of them have failed actually since then. Um,
Why aren't you doing that anymore? Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, why aren't you doing these amazing ideas anymore? Because they either got regulated out, so they're a little bit too groundbreaking, maybe, and became illegal, or they just weren't ideas that worked out. One of them was great. My best idea that I probably had was a business called AirDesker. Fantastic business. Who would have thought COVID would come around? I certainly didn't. Didn't even think it was a thing. Someone chewed on a bat, killed lots of people, unfortunately, and shut that business down. It was all around dynamic workspaces, out of like co-working spaces out of cafes, bars, places like that already existed that weren't getting customers or enough customers at not busy periods, so outside of lunch breaks and the morning coffee run and stuff. So I was bringing in people to work in those spaces at that time, and that was a great. I love that business. I thought that was a cool idea, and it got funding. We won prizes. Won first prize for the Flight Centre business startup idea thing. That was cool. Won a couple of prizes out of Hong Kong as well. Had like all these travel plans locked in. It was sick. I was living my dream. I could travel. I could work. I could do my own thing. I was like, this is my ticket out. I can see the light. And then boom.
Yeah, I remember that time. It was
whole
awesome.
World shut down. Yeah, a whole world shut. I was like, no. So I spent about 6 months sulking about it and doing nothing. And because I quit my job to get that running full time, and ended up going back to work as a cybersecurity consultant in offensive security. So back to the daily grind. But yeah, I mean, you do what you do. It was good fun. I had fun. It's a good story that I can talk about these days. And
I think that's kind of how we kind of met in a way, right? So
pretty much, yeah.
We were doing the Lime Scooter thing for a while there, and we bumped into each other a few times, and the AirDesker thing I think was quite interesting. So around about the same time, I think there was something to do with WeWork, wasn't it? It was this massive thing at WeWork, I think, over in the States, where I think there was a bit of backlash, and there was this bloke I know, name escapes me, but over in like San Fran or something, and he set this thing up where people just basically go sit on the pavement, right? So we're renting out these offices to people and whatever, and there's all this money in that. So he was kind of doing this almost like a protest, even if you will, where you basically set up a desk and a chair on the pavement, like on the sidewalk, and people would just go and sit there and work. And it was weird. I don't know why we did it,
That's
but
a crazy business.
it was funny as hell. But you and me, we basically just sat there
we did it. Yeah,
for like a couple of hours, and I mean, it was so awful. It was actually really awful. It was cool, you and me sitting there, but it was really awful because this part of town where we decided to sit. I mean, there's like all these like rich people, and they've got dogs and all this kind of stuff, and there's like just a tiny little sliver of grass. So they all brought the dogs down to go to the toilet right next to where we were sitting. It was fucking foul.
Yeah,
wasn't it? Remember that?
Dog shit and piss. Yeah, it was fantastic. Yeah, and it was also a bit dewy because it like rained the day before, so we're both like trying to do our work.
Oh, that
There's like
sounds
dog shit
terrible.
It was
next to
so
us,
awful.
like dewy grass.
Oh,
Construction trucks building all the new apartments just next to. Yeah, it was. Yeah, could have chosen a better place, but it was a cool movement. He was also setting up, I think, co-working spaces out of car parks, like unused car parks, and also beds for homeless people out of unused car parks. So I think he was kind of doing the whole. It was I don't know whatever happened to that business idea. Maybe he got shut down as well. But
so funny, actually. I don't think I mentioned it, but the guy who actually started that was actually the guy who created there was a map for the Lime scooters. Do you remember that?
yeah.
It was like a separate app. It had like hooked into all the Lime APIs and just showed everyone where all the scooters and everything were. And so he created that, and then he's gone on to create. There's a company now. They do like landing pages for Zoom and things like that and events, right? So he's got a massive company that does that. It was pretty cool.
Yeah, right. That's interesting.
cool.
Oh man. Well, I think that's a pretty good introduction. I think we've got a pretty well-rounded thing. I definitely want to hear more about Bobby's strategy more in the next pod, though, specifically around how you live with yeeting like 99% of your money into Bitcoin. I would love to hear that story because I think Bitcoin is definitely sort of the future landscape of money, but how that all works and all the intricacies, no idea. Like I said, I'm lazy in investing, so I'm going to let you educate me on that one, or request that you educate me on that one because I got no idea if I even should or should not do it. But yeah, we'll cover that in the next pod. I think we've got a pretty good introduction here of around half an hour, talking about ourselves and what we do and how we do it. And yeah, we'll kick things off into gear in the next pod.
Okay, sounds great.
Sweet. All right. Well, thanks everyone for watching. See you guys on the next pod. Make sure you like, comment,
See
subscribe,
ya.
all the things, and we'll see you there.